Record. Welcome back, Wanderers. This is Robert here, and after a long absence of neither PoE nor any YouTube, I've been back with the third build that I'm rolling in a Harvest League. So two reasons why it has taken so long to make a new video. First of all, I have actually moved apartments, and that took a lot of time out of my time, so to say, for anything, and also not having internet for quite a while. It's kind of shitty, but here we are. And the second reason is that the previous builds, the Power Siphon Wanderer and also the Tectonic Slam Chieftain, they couldn't live up to their game when it came to the end game, and I was too lazy to go full out into the harvest mechanic to craft top tier items to make those builds shine. And instead of crafting and trading all day, I decided to roll the build that I wanted to roll in the very beginning, like before the league even started, which was Creeping Frost Occultist. I was always been a really big fan of Arctic Breath, and after they changed it to Creeping Frost and Methyl made a video on it, I thought I should give it a go again, and I found another really good guide that I want to show you later that convinced me to roll this as my third character. And this is the character that I got the furthest in. What you're seeing in the background is footage of a fully juiced T16 dig. So this is with 4 sextanted watchstones, scarabs, sacrifice fragments. It's a 8-mod corrupted map, and it has a Zana in it, which later opens a layer of the Hydra. And yes, it's not a zoom explodey chest, everything explodes by just looking at them build, but it's a build that fits my playstyle very well, which means I have stuff to do instead of just holding right click. It's not too hectic, and it has visual clarity, and it's also very satisfying to play. The inspiration from the build, we switch out here, came from YouTuber Big Ducks. You should see that on screen right now. He has a very awesome video in depth where he goes in depth into the guide. The link to the video you should be seeing on the screen, so you can click on that and check this out. A really nice 20-minute video explaining all of this. My build does deviate from Big Duck's build a little bit in a few aspects that I wanted to go over with you right now. So let's start with the skill gems. The main skill, or the main link, is almost identical. It's Creeping Frost with greater multiple projectiles, which I switch out with hypothermia and boss fights. Then Controlled Destruction, Swift Affliction, and Efficacy. The 6th link that I went was not Elemental Focus, as recommended in the guide, but with Concentrated Effect, because there might be a weird interaction with Elemental Focus, which might get fixed at some point. Right now, even if you have Elemental Focus, the Chilled Ground effect still applies to Creeping Frost, which it shouldn't. So I went the safe route and just used Conk Effect to not bother with that. The supports are also the same, so we have Flame Dash with Arcane Surge and Second Wind. So whenever I Flame Dash, I have a little bit more spell damage and cast speed. I have my skill skin on my left mouse button, so we always have a little bit of a life buffer over here, and then I have Clarity and Malevolence as my auras. Vile Righteous Fire as a little bit of extra DPS for bosses, and then one of the main tools to get a lot of boss damage is in the Rhyme Gaze Helmet, which gives you, on top of the cold damage over time multiplier, a level 20 Conk effect, and in here I have a Vile Cold Snap with Efficacy, Bone Chill, and Hypothermia. And I can just drop the normal Cold Snap to Bone Chill a boss, but the Vile Cold Snap obviously adds an additional dot that is independent from the Creeping Frost dot and from the Cold Snap dot to stack just dots on top of each other. In terms of solo self-found, I did everything myself when it comes to the items, except for 3 items that I had to actually get from PoE Trade. One of them, and that is also build defining, is Snake Pit, because it allows you to fork And this adds a lot of group clear speed. So if we go back to the video, then you will see that the Creeping Frost, even though when it fogs, it does not leave chilled ground, but the explosions that go off, even though if they do not create area overlap anymore, whenever Creeping Frost, the projectile hits a white mob, then there's a high chance that it actually kills the white mob because just of itself. So for mapping, that just adds a lot of clear speed that you otherwise would not have if you don't have Snake Pit. So especially in tier 16s, it's still crazy that sometimes you shoot Creeping Frost once or twice, and then you realize that some things die up until like 3 screens away, which is pretty amazing. You saw it right there, like one cast and it cascades out, and that is solely due to Snake Pit. And the other 2 items that I had to get are cluster jewels with the cold-blooded killer notable. This one gives you 2% life recovery on killing a chilled enemy. So when you're mapping, this means that you're pretty much immortal because you have 2 of those. So 4% recovery paired together with glancing blows, which allows you to block a lot of hits where the damage is halved. So with this, you're almost certainly attack and spell block capped. And then I'm using a Crusader Shield, where I harvest crafted or alt regaled energy shield recovery on block. So because we're at block cap, we recover energy shield, and when we kill a chilled enemy, we cover life. And this is basically how we sustain with this build, which is pretty amazing. It feels really good. It's basically you cast, things die, you recover life, things attack you, you recover energy shield. It's actually great. A deviation that I did is I grabbed elemental equilibrium. That's something that Big Ducks doesn't do. I did this mainly because my weapon is pretty shit and I needed some more damage, and I had the idea of using a Tempest Shield in my trigger weapon. So that's another required item that you need, but this one you can get yourself by just unveiling weapons, and in the end, eventually you will get it. So in a trigger weapon, I'm using Cold Snap and Frost Bomb as well, and basically the only thing I need to do is just start walking, because I have Steel Skin on my left click, which means my trigger gems go off. So right now, Tempest Shield is up, and Tempest Shield, whenever I block, the enemy gets zapped with lightning, and lightning basically causes elemental equilibrium to deal Creeping Frost more damage. So if I only attack with Creeping Frost, then all the enemies will be resistant to cold, but if they attack me, then they will be resistant to lightning and vulnerable to cold. Also, I have my Frostbite, which was originally in the trigger setup, which I didn't like because I always had to really carefully position my mouse cursor to actually get the enemies to curse, and I'm lazy. So I put them in a Orb of Storms curse and hit setup together with Culling Strike. So basically, when there's a tough rare, I Creeping Frost, I Flame Dash in to get my Arcane Surge, and then I Orb of Storms, which then triggers Elemental Overload, first of all, and second of all, it triggers Elemental Equilibrium, so they die from the cold dot, and if they reach 10%, then they get killed, which is super nice. And this is amazing in terms of playstyle, because it actually does feel like a proper mage, where you have multiple spells that you rotate. So the playstyle is basically, you see a pack, you Creeping Frost, you Flame Dash, Orb of Storms, Flame Dash, and you go on. If things get too tough, if there's a tough rare in there, you can also drop your beefed up Cold Snap in there, and if it's a boss, you also throw up Val Cold Snap, Flame Dash in, Val Righteous Fire, Flame Dash out, another Cold Snap on top, another Creeping Frost, and then basically by that time the boss should be dead. And this is very satisfying. I do have another clip here. Just switch over to this one. This is a Hydra kill that was in the same tier 16 where I found the Zana. She also gave me a Hydra map, and this was the very first Hydra I did in, I don't know, like 4 months. and wasn't quite sure that I could even do it because my gems are still not at full level. I still don't have a level 21 cold snap, and my weapon is still kind of shit, which you will see in a second. And yeah, I'm still missing a lot of energy shield. My chest piece, so I found it at eye level 84 via Regalia, and I was trying to harvest craft it to get some life and energy shield on there, which is basically the two main things that I'm looking for it. But it turned out to be really mediocre, and I had some tough decisions to make when it came to resist. So my chest piece is kind of garbage at the moment. And the corrupted 6-link that I had before was actually much better in terms of energy shield. But yeah, beggars can't be choosers. But nonetheless, main thing here is, even though Hydra doesn't die in like 2 hits, like you see on all the Reddit threads, I'm never in danger, and Hydra herself is always slowed like crazy. That's the best thing when it comes to bossing with this build, that you slow bosses to a crawl, and this is super satisfying. And this is definitely the build that I want to continue playing for the rest of this league. And I actually do have a goal in mind this time around, because for the very first time I'm getting much further with my Atlas. Ever since Awakener came out, I only did Awakener 0. I never did anything higher, and I never like figured out how to actually work with the Atlas. But now, thanks to, again, watching more YouTube videos, I finally figured out a strategy how you build up your Atlas and how you focus at one region at a time, and how you actually invest into the region that you're running, and how you make sure that you can only drop maps of that region. So I have my Atlas set up in a way that whenever I drop a tier 15 or 16, it can only drop here. So this allows me to get all the watchstones from this sector or from this region. And once I have all the watchstones from here, I'm moving over to the next region, to the next, and to the next, until I have all of them and can finally run Awakener 8. And this will be the goal of this character. In terms of levels, there's not much to get. I can get maybe one more jewel socket somewhere, or like get a better, maybe get a small cluster jewel or something, but not sure. So I'm actually fine with level 92. Don't need to go any higher. Obviously, more health is always welcome, but yeah, that I can also get from the items. So yeah, super awesome build. Looking forward to continuing that, and I will keep you updated on the progress. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you in game.